Hi everyone, welcome back to another video here at Lovin Off the Land. This week we are going to be going through how to take your horseradish and turn this into a usable sauce. We did post last week on our Facebook page that you can follow along if you're not already. And one of our locals here saw it and was telling us about how they turned their horseradish into a sauce and was going through some of the interesting parts about how when you add vinegar, it controls the spice level of the horseradish. So if you don't add vinegar to stabilize the hotness in your horseradish, it will continue to build and build and build once you've blended it. So we're going to give that a little bit of a test today and see just how hot we can get our horseradish. So we've got our horseradish here that grows really, really well here in the Pacific Northwest. You can see it's kind of got a bunch of different tubers off of it. So it does spread really, really rapidly, which is great for us. So we're going to kind of separate these. And one of the smaller ones, we'll probably replant that this year and let that continue to grow. And we're going to take a couple of our bigger tubers here and cut them and peel them. And that will get us started with what we need to blend down into our sauce. And another thing you can do that we often do as well is you can freshly grate the horseradish. So you can just grate that down as you need it using a fine grater and just put it on whatever you want. So we had some oysters the other day. We just kind of ground one of those down to use directly. But if you want to make it into more of a usable sauce that you can just kind of pull out and use whenever you want, you want to break that down and peel it. And we're just going to cut that into chunks before you get it into the blender. So definitely make sure you're doing this in a well-ventilated area. Horseradish is very, very pungent, even stronger than when you're cutting onions and things like that. So you want to make sure that you have a well-ventilated area, or even sort of do it outside if you're worried about it. So we have our two little pieces here, and what we're going to do is do a bit of a test. I was really fascinated when I heard this, that the vinegar stops the level of heat from continuing to rise. So we're actually going to do a little bit of a test, and we're going to do one where we add the vinegar right away, and we're going to do one where after we blend it up, we let it sit for about 10 minutes before we add the vinegar in there and see the difference in the heat level that we get between these two pieces of horseradish. Obviously, we're not doing very much. You can do as much or as little as you want. It will last for about a month refrigerated once you've done it, or you can freeze it as well, but we're just going to make as much as we need that we're going to use in the next month or so, as we can always go outside and pick more because we have lots of plants growing. So we're going to cut these up into smaller pieces and do a little test here and see which one gets hotter. So we're going to get our first piece of horseradish into our little 1-cup blender there. This is just water, so you're going to want to water it down a little bit so it does turn into that paste. As you're blending it, you can add more water as needed, and you can always squeeze out water in the end as well if you've added too much. So don't worry too much about that. We are also going to add in the first one here. We're going to do a little bit of vinegar kind of right away into that as we're blending it. So this will be our first one. And the second one we're going to let sit for about 10 minutes before we add the vinegar so we can see the difference in the heat. So add that in. Get our blender bottom on there and onto our Ninja. So we can already tell we probably want maybe a little bit more water in there. And this will be very, very pungent now, so kind of do it at arm's length because it'll be very, very, very strong. Holy. I'm actually really interested to see what that second one's like with the letting it sit and seeing how hot it gets. So I think we're going to keep adding a little bit more water to that because it's still fairly thick in there and we kind of want it a little bit more liquidy. Oh, that gets your eyes. Definitely be careful with that. That's definitely more pungent than onions are. Oh, I should not have done that. Oh my God. Oh, that was a mistake. Whew. And this is the one with the vinegar. That was stupid. I don't know why I did that. Just to make Steph laugh. My eyes are like watering right now. That is strong. But that's more the kind of the consistency that we we're going for. Again, you can kind of do it whatever way you want. If you want it, if you like your horseradish a little bit more solid, you can do that. Or you can have it kind of more into a spreadable paste. Okay, so that is our first one that I made the mistake of inhaling. That's when we added vinegar to right away, so that should have stabilized the amount of heat. The next one we're going to do, we're going to blend up and then just let it sit for about 10 minutes and see if we get even spicier. And then we'll do a little taste test at the end and see if there's a huge difference, if we can notice it. All right, we're going to move on to our second one here that we are not going to add vinegar to, and theoretically that is going to make it a lot hotter than the other one. We're going to start with adding a little bit more water this time than we did last time. Put this on there. And here we go. Okay, so now all we're going to do is let this sit for about 10 minutes and let that continue. Theoretically, it should continue to build up heat and become spicier and spicier. So we're going to let that sit for 10 minutes and then we'll come back, give it another quick blend and give it a go and see if we can taste the difference from the other one. All right, so we've let this sit for 10 minutes. I'm a little nervous to open it, to be honest, but we're going to add our vinegar now just to neutralize it. So what happens is the enzymes in the roots are really volatile, and once they're crushed, grated, or blended, it just kind of sets off that heat motion there as they go through. So we're gonna add a little vinegar now just to kind of stabilize it. I'm not gonna breathe it in like I did last time. Whew, I can smell that from here. So we're just going to add a tiny bit of vinegar. Oh man, that's strong. Which will kind of stabilize those enzymes. Put that back in there for one more quick blend. So now we'll get this into our dish here and we'll do a little taste test. Oh, that's hard to get close to. Okay. So another thing you want to do is just add a little bit of salt. So you got some homemade sea salt that we made here. You don't need much. I'm going to add that into both and give them a bit of a stir. So we're just going to stir that salt in there. You can see a little bit of different in consistency too. This one's a little bit more runny, so you can kind of do it however you like it. But okay, now the moment of truth for the taste test. So this is the first one that we did where we added vinegar right away. So theoretically, this one shouldn't be as spicy, and that one, well, they'll both be spicy, but that one will be a lot hotter. So I'll do a taste of this one first. It's such like a strong smell you get from that horseradish, but I love it. It's still really hot. If you make your own, your horseradish will be, even if you put the vinegar in right away, will still be way hotter than anything you'd get if you bought it in a store. So let's now try this one that should theoretically be a lot spicier than that one because we left it without adding vinegar for a while. Ooh. Yep. That's quite a difference. And it's kind of cool, like little trick that leaving it longer makes such a difference in that spice level, but you can definitely tell, even though it was from the same, not the same root, but pretty much the same plant, that one was way hotter than the other one. So if you've tried this at home, let us know how it went for you. If you have any other tricks or ways that you like to prepare horseradish. And if not, we hope you found this interesting, or if not, at least entertaining. And we'll see you guys next week for another video.